Welcome. We're going to take a look at a problem that you most likely would see in an algebra class. And since most of us haven't taken algebra, we're going to look at how to solve this using a visual model rather than algebraically, and see if it can help us think more about how we solve these types of problems. All right, so the first step is always to read the problem and figure out what it's all about. Here we go. The ratio of Annika's comic books to Billy's was 3 to 5. Well, that's important. I'm just going to note that ratio right there. After Annika's cousin gave her 21 of his old comics, she had twice as many comic books as Billy. I'm going to underline that. She got 21 more, and now she has twice as many. How many comic books did Annika have initially? All right, well, whenever we're taking a look at a problem that involves a possible bar modeling situation, we want to always model what's going on with unit bars. And so we're going to compare first that ratio that I had discussed earlier, that Annika's comic book collection, the ratio of Annika's comic book collection to the ratio of Billy's was 3 to 5. So I'm going to draw a unit bar for Annika, and I'm going to make her unit bar 3 roughly equal parts. Okay. And then for Billy, Billy had more, remember, because for every 3 comic books that Annika had, he had 5. So we're going to be really careful here, and we're going to make sure that we match up his first 3 with Annika, and then the additional comic books that he had can be split up into 2 parts so that he has a total of 5. Now remember, when we draw unit bars, we don't yet know the exact value of the unit or box. We don't know what each of these boxes means or represents, but we do know that each of the boxes represents equal amounts. Well, I've got the model, that's cool, but I still don't have any numbers labeled, and I still don't have enough information to solve this problem. So I'm going to go back and reread some of the information given to me. I think the key part is in the second half of the problem. After Annika's cousin gave her 21 of his old comics, she had twice as many comic books as Billy. Okay, that's really critical. Not twice as many as she had before, but twice as many as Billy. How many comic books did Annika have initially? Well, all right, so let's think about that. She has 3 parts to Billy's 5, and then she gets these 21 new books, and suddenly she has twice as many as Billy. So her bar should be 2 times as long. Now I'm going to carefully draw in my units so that I show that the first 2 units that we add to Annika's amount equal or match Billy's, because then we have 5 and 5. That means the rest of this big long bar here needs to be broken up so we have 5 parts. Now don't worry too much about getting this perfect. It's really a simple model so that you can really kind of break it down into parts. All right, so one thing we do know about this additional amount that I've just drawn is that that number of comic books was equal to 21. 21 comic books, and if I count it up, it looks like that's 7 units. Well, that's going to give me a lot of information, but before we move too fast in solving, I want to go back to the question. Remember, the question is what we always have to take care of. It said, how many comic books did Annika have initially? Getting a little crowded, but that's okay. So we don't really care about the number of comic books Billy had, although we can figure that out. What we really want to know, and we're going to mark it with a question mark, is how many books did Annika have to start with? All right, so I think I'm ready to start solving, because I mentioned earlier that 7 units, the 7 additional units that we had to add to Annika's bar, that was equal to 21 books. So if I divide 7 into 21, 1 unit is equal to 3 books. So each and every one of these unit boxes is 3 comic books. Well, since we want to know the amount that those 3 units that Annika had initially, all we have to do is take 3 units times 3 books each, which gives us 9 comics. Annika had 9 comic books to start with. Thanks. See you again.